is your I guess make comment. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure no one was here for that actual case in case, you know. Before we get started, I'll do a quick roll call here. Ed Burzes. Here. Mike Lynch.
Here.
Paul San Francisco.
Here.
Joe Silk. Here. And Kevin Basspool here. So let's do a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So we do have 5 cases to get through here tonight. I know one of them, which I'm going to turn this over to Andy here for a second, just if you want to go on the record, right, in regards to.
Yeah, it's just a point of clarification.
Yeah.
This evening, the first item on the agenda was for the application in 0 variance, special exception relief for 90-foot lot. We had a slight snafu in our posting. The property, we did send notice out to everyone as required by the MPC or our ordinance of the affected property, and we did effectively post it a couple of times for 2 consecutive weeks. The only problem that we had was of the physical posting that placed on the wrong property. So as a result, we reached out to the applicant and asked for an extension of time because if without it, we would be pushed up against the 10 block. They did grant us that extension, so it'll be on November 18th. Now, just one last thing. We're going to, as an effort and all precaution, we want to re-advertise it, repost the property correctly, and we will also send mail out again.
Okay. All right. And do we have just to kind of help move other applications along? Do we have anyone here being represented by an attorney for their application? Which application is that? I'm sorry. All right. 5-4. All right. Thank you. All right. We can go ahead and get started here on application Z 2021-34 for Jeffrey and Lindsay King, 27 Pine Street, Newtown Square, pertaining to the subject property. The property owner is seeking a special exception approval to construct a residential addition along the existing non-conforming front yard setback in accordance with sections 172-34B, subsection 5, and 172-141F. Applicant also requests relief from any other sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject property is located in the R3 zoning district. Mr. and Mrs. King, there you are. So Andy, is the file in order?
File is in order.
All right. And do we have any party protestants here in regards to this application, or anybody wishing to make public comment and support? All right. And actually, just for clarification, if Sam, if you don't mind me turning this over to you for a second, just so we can do this one time and have everybody understand the difference between a party protestant and public comment. I will have Sam explain that to everybody. So
A party protest is a protected landowner at substantial by board who resides within people to have notified spring that status as protested individual have cross-examination of witnesses, also own witnesses, and filed participation by the public, general comments regarding the application, are not for or against, not have status, one who according to case letter. Okay.
Thank you very much. So Mr. and Mrs. King, if you want to take us through your application and we're here. Oh, and let's get you sworn in. Get them sworn in here real quick.
Lindsay King. Right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth?
Documents there. I've had a chance. Finding the affirmative. The burden here is we're adding a family's growing. We're already out of space as it is. Additional one, we're not going to exceed one part of the existing property. However, we are one of the older houses already not conforming to the 45-foot. You can see on the drawing, the magenta line shows a building envelope. Hardship is not actually fully built addition. Also, for hardship and character of the neighborhood, seeing some of the other drawing of photos later, a lot of the properties along the same side of the street have a similar or smaller setback property lines. So I guess, yeah, we'll go through these. So on this, the red line is the front of the existing house. We don't that our addition. Green shows the neighbors left facing the front of the house. Green lines are the best I could identify. Obviously, this is Google Maps line. There are some pictures put with some rough. But this is just to show, you know, general of where the blue is the back of the house. Go to the next one.
How many feet beyond the front yard setback are you right now? Or what, I'm sorry, where you're looking to go and where you are now?
Right now, we're 22 property line. Streets over there, it's actually 32. We're not looking to encroach any further.
It should be 45 technically, right, Andy? Yeah.
So for this document, there's the houses on the other side of our property. Where they we also in here have a letter. All the neighbors on our street there. Pretty gun barrel. Sort of record. Just we're in the early stages of we have layouts of the art. Working inside. Clearly, that's why. Guys, but there's like a rough elevation view sketch.
We have that here to pull up.
So with the driveways, you're gonna have two driveways, or you're getting rid of the old garage and
No, it's two driveways. The garage and the existing
then you'll have another driveway with two garages there.
two garage doors. I don't, for the conversation, for the section, for the back, I don't talking to Andy about water. I know. Oh, yeah.
fully engineered system.
Did any neighbors not, you said all the neighbors, or did any neighbors not sign the letter of petition in support?
There is one neighbor diagonal. I don't really do
But they were not against it. I guess they're not here tonight, right?
We had that, I guess. No, I appear though. I didn't bring my laptop.
Yeah, it's here.
We also brought some live.
Live.
That's always.
Always
good.
helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are the neighbors to both sides and across.
Both sides and across.
This is a special exception, Andy, versus a variance.
Yeah, because it's an existing nonconformity and they're changing and continuing along that nonconforming line. But I will add, I don't believe there's any other relief that's necessary in regard to impervious coverage or other side or rear yard setbacks at play here.
Just the
It's
front.
simply the front yard setback.
Have any questions about this one? I mean,
No,
I
I
have
think
no
it's
other question.
pretty straightforward.
I'll make a motion to approve Z 2021-34, 27 Pine Street for the special exception.
is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Take care of this. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking. I didn't see that.
You're good. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Take it easy.
So the next application we're going to hear is application Z 2020-21 for Craft Custom Homes LLC, 231 Redwood Road, King of Prussia, PA, 19406, pertaining to 4508 Fairview Avenue in Newtown Square, seeking an extension to the variances previously granted on December 21st, 2020, and subsequent extension granted on May 26th, 2021. How are you? All right, and if you just want to take us through, obviously, looking for another extension, just take us through why that's happening so we can,
Yeah, as you know, your ordinance has. Requires sewer permit and you're, submitting for your building permit, doing your stormwater design and having that reviewed and approved by the township. So it's very difficult, even for a simple one lot residential permit, to be able to satisfy that within 6 months. In this particular case, my client actually did submit for the grading permit and that's been issued, I believe.
The letter, the ENS review letters and everything are completed. Stan Tech is holding the clean letter pending the letter to connect to sewer from Macomb. There was an issue between another neighbor and the sewer authority on the connection that had to go a legal route. We've been told that has since been worked out. Connection to the sewer and everything is at DEP. We're just waiting for that rubber stamp, and then we're ready to go at any time.
and I apologize too, because I always forget to do this. Do we have anybody here as a party protesting or wishing to make public comment on this application? All right, sorry for that. I just that, and then do they need to be sworn in for this, looking for an extension as well, or do we have to swear them in on this?
I think the only request is for the extension.
All right, I didn't know if they had to be sworn in terms of anything here, so. No, doesn't seem like,
Well, if we're going to take his testimony of what he just said, he should have been sworn, so.
yeah.
You
I'm gonna need you to
wanna
repeat
swear him just
everything.
to-
Well,
We can swear him in and I can ask him to affirm that what he said was under oath.
that works. I'm sorry. I always forget to do that stuff. Let's have them sworn in here.
State your full name, please.
Ryan Alexaki, Alexaki.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And do you affirm that what you previously testified to is correct
I do.
and under oath?
Yes.
Essentially, it's really just the sewer connection permit that's holding it up. We're hopeful that it'll be issued very shortly. And we're ready to go as soon as it is.
All right. Andy, any concerns from your side of things here? And
I mean, I think clear that the sewer, they need sewer in order to build a home.
Yeah.
Without that effectively in their pocket.
All right.
Personally.
anyone from the board have any questions about? All right, anybody want to make a motion here?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the extension on, as requested on case Z 2020-21, address of 4508 Fairview Avenue,
That would be a 6-month.
6-month extension.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you
luck.
very much.
Hopefully this 6 months gets you there.
All right. Have a great night.
All right, you too. All right, on to the next one, application Z 2021-35. Robert J. Kleinberg, 114 Ashley Road, Newtown Square, PA, pertaining to the subject property. The property owner is seeking a variance relief from section 172-103C, subsection 1B, which limits accessory sheds to an area of 150 square feet and a height of 10 feet to allow shed area of 192 square feet. The applicant also requests relief from many other sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premises is located in the R2 zoning district. Andy, is the file in order?
Yes, it is.
All right, Mr. Kleinberg, sworn in.
Robert J. Kleinberg.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth?
I do.
And do we have anyone here that is a party protestant or wishing to make public comment on this application? All right, Mr. Kleinberg, the floor is yours. So, oh, I'm sorry. Looked right past, in support? All right. All right, that's nice. It's always good to see support. All right. Take us through your application.
Yeah, I applied back in end of July for a permit, and it was for, I want to do a 12 by 16 shed, and I have people sign, and I have pictures of
You
what
can
it
stay
will
there.
look
We'll-
like. There's that in the photos of where it's going to go. Okay. And
For the
You want
board,
these?
if we take them in as exhibits, Maria can label them as applicant number 1, and I guess the pictures collectively as applicant number 2, just for the record.
All right. Thank you. This is just some of your neighbors in support that we're looking at here, so I'm going to share that just while I kind of mark.
yeah, it's both sides and behind me and across the street.
You guys, did you copy this anyway, which this was already submitted with your application, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not gonna, if you want to hear that. So.
So where the new shed is going,
Matt, are there trees still there? Are they,
There's no trees there.
there's
no.
no trees anymore in that?
Yeah, there are a couple shrubs, but
Okay.
they're within the 5 feet, so I don't have to get rid of them. I'm not moving it any closer to the property line. It's going to be 5 foot and 5 foot. But I just wanted to extend it out a little bit more. So it's pretty much the same price to do 12 by 12 as it is to do 12 by 16. I'm trying to make more room in my garage just for get my car in there.
So there's no, I mean, no issues with the side yard setbacks or rear
No.
yard setbacks. It's just obviously exceeding what has been allowed in terms of size of the shed by the township.
Yes, I just want to make it, instead of making it 12 by 12, I want to make it 12 by 16. I think it's like 150 feet. And you can see there's a shed right behind me that was done 15 years ago. I was talking to the owner. That is almost the same size as what I'm doing.
You were just honest enough to come to the township for a permit, I think.
Yeah, that's my problem, I guess. But no, I talked to him. He said he got a permit 15 years ago.
Okay.
Might have been different rules back then.
Yeah, we didn't record anything then. So, no.
Right?
All right, I mean,
Is there a shed there now and you're replacing it, or is
No.
this a new?
It's-
And so one of the other requirements is that it's can't exceed 10 feet high. Is it also exceeding the 10 feet high?
The guy that helped me do it said it might be 10 and a half, 11 foot.
Yeah.
Just
What's-
because
is
it gets
that-
the water to run off the roof.
Yeah, is there a particular reason you know, outside of just wanting more space, that you couldn't do it within the rules in terms of 150 feet and 10 feet high? Or you just need more space?
I pretty much just need more space, right?
And why the height? Is the height another exception as well?
Yeah, there's a limitation.
Are there plans for the?
Is 10 feet.
you building this yourself, and then that's because you're saying 10 feet or 11 feet. I think we should probably get that ironed out now if we're gonna make any motions here that we agree on what the height of the shed's gonna be.
I have somebody helping me do it, and he said to get the water to run off, it'd have to be maybe just a little bit over 10 foot, less than 11 though.
Well,
There's-
if it's going to be a typical gable roof.
Yes.
So if the walls are 8 feet and you've got 6 foot run, 5 inches, you got another 30 inches over 8 feet, almost 11 feet. So if that is, all those measurements that I just
Yeah.
gave are true.
So 11 feet is where we would need to be.
So we can say no more
Yeah,
than
no
11.
higher
not
than
to exceed.
11 or something.
Right.
Okay.
Can I just ask
Yeah,
a question?
please, sir.
You show at the back of your garage a 5'8" by 17-foot structure.
No,
Is-
that's just a ramp. It's like a.
It's a ramp? Okay,
Under the
that's
second
fine.
level of the garage.
Okay.
Such detail.
I'm just looking at what's there. I just want to clarify that it's not another shed.
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. All right.
Any issues with impervious? Looks like it would be close. Any impervious concerns?
No additional
Calculation.
concerns with impervious.
And even the letter that you provided, that was neighbors on both sides and anyone from behind you that this is backing up against, that's in
Yes.
the, so it's both sides of you, to the left and to the right, and then,
Behind me, right.
Okay.
Across the street. there.
See that?
Is the property
Can I ask a question? Did you suggest that you were going to use this shed for your car?
No. To make room in my garage for the car.
Okay. So you have a garage as well as the shed.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's up a hill, so I would never be able to get a car up there.
I thought I heard you say something about your car.
Right.
Yeah, they have a shed there too.
questions.
It's a shed behind a shed. There's another shed in the neighbor's yard.
That's the picture of the shed here.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve application.
Mr. Chairman, before a motion's made, I
Sure.
think there's a number of people that were public participants. You may want to
yeah.
take their names and.
Yeah, let's get that on the record. If you guys don't mind coming forward, if you want to make any public comment to show your support, or, if you come up, state your name, your address, and just get you on the record and
Eric Ewart, ERIC, F like fish, EEOR, 3539 Rhoads Avenue. Or on the corner from Bob.
no, you're just making public comment here anyway, so you're
I've known
fine.
Bob for 30 years. An upright guy, and like you said, his fault is his honesty. There's sheds all over the neighborhood that just, oh, look, there's a shed.
Yeah.
Big enough to put a truck in. And, he's a stand-up guy. And really, he's looking for, if you built a box the size of what he's looking to go over, I could touch it. It's in the back of his property. That's all I got.
No, we
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
He's also helped out the fire company. So,
All right.
hope that helps.
Did you want to go on the record?
Martin Deacon. Martin. Deacon, G-Y-N-N-A-N-E. And Twitty actually would. I'll just write down the street.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah,
Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve application Z 2021-35 on 114 Ashley Road for the variance as requested.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Just for clarity, are there any limitations on the maximum height?
11.
Yeah, let's get that on there with, not to exceed 11 feet.
Not to exceed 11 feet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck. Jump ahead, we'll come back to this one, so. We're gonna hit a bit of 5.5, yeah. So next up is application Z 2021-20, James and Nancy Minnick, who reside at 601 Andover Road, seeking a zoning interpretation in regard to the subject premise located at 606 Glendale Road, which is owned by Robert and Margaret Hagstrom. Applicant is seeking an interpretation from sections 172-103B and C. One, in regard to a permit issued for a non-conforming accessory structure. Subject premise is located in the R1 zoning district. Mr. and Mrs. Minnick.
That was withdrawn.
Oh,
That was,
should stop me before I read that whole paragraph.
I like hearing him read.
Yeah.
That's great, isn't it?
Oh my God, how embarrassing.
He needs to practice his words.
Yeah.
that was.
Well, that record was, I'm sorry, that record was held open and
Right.
it worked it out and we got a letter of withdrawal effective. from the
Before I read this, then, do we have Richard Steele here? Great. All right, so next up, application Z 2021-36, Richard Steele, 3645 Providence Road, Newtown Square, pertaining to the subject property located at 3534 Rhoads Ave, Newtown Square, PA. The property owner is seeking a special exception approval to change the use of the property from an existing business to a residential apartment in accordance with section 172-700. The applicant also requests relief from any other sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject property is located in the C1 zoning district. Mr. Steele?
Yes.
All right, let's get you sworn in here before I forget to do that.
Richard Steele.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear that the
I do.
Is anyone here as looking to make public comment or a party protestant? Any party protestant, public comment, okay. Well, my advice is if you're thinking of protesting, that you're gonna want to get on the record. Did you receive a letter in the mail in regards to this? Okay, so you may, my advice is,
Well, I really don't want to protest. More of a question.
okay, which we'll get to it. I don't want to, here's the deal. If you actually do want to be a party protestant, it will give you the ability to cross-examine any witness. So it may be in your best interest because as,
No, actually, my question.
okay, because the public comment is just going to allow you to come up after we close out the record and make comment. Good enough? I just don't want you to miss out on anything, that's all.
The name doesn't mean you have
Can I
to.
just throw it out there?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, this is essentially leaning towards the CR zoning change that has to. That folks. Change Rhoads Avenue, St. All that into commercial residential. Taxpayer. There was meeting, people were showing up there with pitchforks. There's all my concern. Don't set precedents for
No previous cases for us are going to set any precedents. I mean, it's just what this board hears today and what we decide to make a decision on. All right, good enough. So I will you take it away.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Madden. My ID number is 84696. I'm an attorney here in Delaware County, and I'm representing Mr. Steele and his wife, who own the property at 3534 Rhoads Avenue. I put a binder before you. I just want to tell you what you're going to see. We have the deed just to show ownership. We have a few photographs just to give you some perspective of the property and what we're doing. We think it's important here. And the architectural sketches are not really particularly germane, but just to give you some idea of what the residential portion would look like. This property is mixed use currently. It's a dental office in the front and retail in the back with a bike shop. The dental office would remain, the retail would be converted to residential, single family residential. With that, I'm going to proceed to walk Dr. Steele through a tour of the property. We'll go through your special exception criteria, answer any questions you have, and vote. So Dr. Steele, can you take a look at what we have labeled as Exhibit 1 to begin with? Do you recognize that document?
I do.
And what is it?
That's the deed to the property.
Showing ownership by you and your wife, Vicki?
Yes.
Okay. And let's tell the board what we're looking at with these pictures. What is Exhibit 2?
That's a view approaching the property from St. Albans Circle. And you see the garage and the parking lot to the right. That's to the back of the building.
Okay. So this is facing the property from street level?
Yes.
From street view?
Yes.
And the parking lot there, how many parking spaces are in that parking lot?
They're 26 and 27 with the garage.
Okay. And there's a little sort of corner sticking out in the back. Is that the bicycle shop that you would be
Yes.
converting? And that's really the only piece of the building, of that portion of the building that you can see from Rhoads Avenue, correct? Okay. Number 3.
I'm standing at the light post at the end of the driveway, and that's the view through the breezeway, and that's a view of the building from the street.
Okay, so the portion of the building you see on the left-hand side of this photograph is what currently?
Oh, that's the dental office.
Okay. And that's the same garage we saw in the previous photograph? And through the breezeway, again, is the bicycle shop that would be converted, correct? Okay. How about number 4?
Okay, that's a view from far into the parking lot. You see the entranceway and the ramp to the dental office, and you see street level entry to the bike shop.
This would be from the parking lot facing east, correct? Parallel to Rhoads Avenue?
Correct.
And that's the entranceway to what will be the, if we get a favorable decision tonight, what will be the residential portion?
Correct.
Is that the back of the garage I'm seeing there on the left? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
How about number 5?
Number 5 is the residence that's across from the office, from my property.
Okay, so across the street is all residential, right?
Correct.
That's the other side of Rhoads Avenue,
Other
correct?
side of the road, yeah. Similarly, number 6,
Number 6 is the property facing the street to the right of mine.
so additional residential across Rhoads Avenue.
Yes.
And finally, number 8.
Number 8 is at the eastern part of of my property. I'm looking across the alleyway, and there's another office that's there. So that's across the alleyway that my property borders.
Okay, and there's one office, and then what's beyond that office?
Beyond that office are apartments.
It's all residential
And
apartments, right?
Apartments, and then I guess 3 or 4 properties down, you have single-family residences. And then when you get to the end of roads in Westchester Pike, you've got a professional space. You know, it's a 2 or 3 floor building that has professionals in it.
Okay, so there's residential across the street, and within 2 lots, there's residential down the street. Is that
Correct.
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 Okay. And then just for number 8, I don't need you to go through this whole thing, but this will show that the footprint of the building isn't changing at all, correct?
Nothing's going to change with the building on the outside, except for an egress window for 1 bedroom. And that's all I'm changing. I'm not changing anything else.
So all changes are interior.
Yes,
Okay, all alterations are interior. Now, this property is on public sewer and public water.
yes, yeah.
Okay. And when you built the property, you went through all of the machinations with stormwater and it's compliant
Yeah,
with.
all stormwater management's been addressed. When I had the addition put on to the original property, you know, amendments were made to rectify any needs for stormwater management.
And from Rhoads Avenue, there's no change in appearance whatsoever, right?
None.
No geological changes, no changes to the environmental features, drainage, et cetera.
None.
You got what? We said it's a retail use there, right? It's a bicycle
Well,
shop.
right now it's empty.
What was a bicycle shop?
It was. It was. It's been vacant for 2 years, and just want to make use of it. On a personal note, I have a family member who's moving back to the area, and I want to convert the space for her.
You have a family member that's going to be living in there?
Yes,
Or
my daughter and her husband.
Well, and I guess that's kind of an important story to tell. So, and your daughter and your husband can't come live with you, correct?
They can't because my wife has a chronic pulmonary condition, and that's why she's not here as well. They came in, just on like, again, a personal note, they came in for the first time in 24 months, couldn't stay with us because they were making different points of contact. And so they stayed in a hotel for 9 days. And I'd love for her to stay at our house, but you know, she's happily married and you know, she needs her space. And we just didn't want to be restrictive in that regard. And makes good use of the building. It's been absent, and there's going to be less of an impact with her and her husband there than it would be if we had another business there. And believe me, there's enough traffic on Rhoads Avenue without more.
Yeah. So just in summary, if the board can indulge me to tick through the special exception criteria, just in case we do have a protestant tonight. The application falls within the provision of the zoning chapter, which affords the application the right to seek its special exception. As the chairman mentioned, it's 172-70.0. Not prejudicial to the character of the immediate vicinity and will not have a detrimental effect on neighboring properties. There's residential all around this, right? You already have your transitional zoning there. So it's really consistent with the zoning of the neighborhood. We talked about the construction and design and the harmony with the neighborhood, because there's not going to be any change in appearance whatsoever here, and nothing that you'll see from Rhoads Avenue or the adjacent alleyway. It's already on public water. The storm water is already in place. As far as police and fire protection, you're going from from a commercial use to a residential use. So you have a less impactful use on police and fire. No environmental features, no topographical features will be touched. As far as consistency with the comprehensive plan, says that with regard to housing, one of the goals is to provide for varied housing options to accommodate various household configurations and individuals and families at various life stages and income levels. That's the story we're telling here tonight. You know, we have a family that has an impact, its life is impacted. They're trying to bring a family member home and put her here. Similarly to the land use objectives in the comprehensive code, talk about having a walkable town center. This is right in the middle of town. It's somewhere that someone can walk to the surrounding businesses. So you have consistency with the comprehensive plan as well. Traffic congestion, you're going from an intensive use to a less intensive use. We have 27 off-street parking places. We are not causing any additional congestion because we're not making any change in the land, not impairing stormwater management, not causing soil erosion, not impairing light or air to the adjacent properties.
Are there any plans to change any of that parking, like to go away from blacktop and more to grass or anything like that?
Well, we still need the parking for the dental office.
Okay.
So there's no plans to change it at this point.
No. For all the hoops I had to jump to get it to where it is right now, that would be a hardship, to get it back. It really would.
And
Yeah, it's interesting to see someone going this direction. I feel like most applications, it's somebody trying to put a commercial property in a residential space and not used to seeing it go this
Well, having
way.
been here before, all these criteria were met when they had the building put up. So it's really a step back.
we think it's a step back in impact, a less impactful use, consistent with the comprehensive plan. And, you know, we're happy to answer any questions, but
You said you were here before, right?
Well, when I had to have all
For
this
trying to
approved,
get, yeah.
yeah, the original plan.
yeah, I think
And that was-
he had to go through land
years.
development when he built the retail piece on the back of the.
But I occupied the front part of the property when I was in practice. I've been in practice for 16 years, so, and Dr. Polis is in the office and is in the dental suite, the front. But I've been there since.
Can you explain how that works when we actually parcel out one lot, one property with different uses? One's residential, one's commercial.
We don't have a stipulation or ordinance that limits the property to one use.
Okay,
It has to accommodate all the features.
right.
So it has to have adequate parking for both.
Keep in mind, it's multi-use now, right? Because you have
Yeah.
the medical office in the
Trying-
front and the retail in the back.
And knowing this area, shopping center behind it has residential and commercial use because they have apartments on some of those buildings. So this would be kind of consistent with that side of roads in Westchester.
And so just so I'm reading this right, when I'm looking at this, the bike shop area today would be converted to the new apartment living
Yes.
space. And how many square feet is that?
2,200 square feet.
Gotcha. Okay.
I do want to ask, I'm sorry, and I forget your name, sir. What, just to kind of hear your perspective here,
Well, it's my perspective that several years ago.
Excuse me, can we get
Oh,
him to come
yeah,
up
yeah.
to the
So do you
mic,
mind coming up
please?
here so we can get you just for audio purposes? Or do you want him at the podium or just that?
I don't really care personally
think we
where,
have a
but if he
mic.
sits there, we just need to turn that mic on.
Press that button on the top there.
Wants us to identify himself.
Go green. There you go. Yeah, sit down. And
Eric Fedor, days before 3539 Rhoads Ave.
but yeah, I'm just curious to hear your perspective here. Since
Well, my perspective is that, and I'm not against Dr. Steele making an apartment out of this because it's been just dead in the water for a decade, pretty much.
I mean, dead in the water.
So if,
Well,
sir,
it
sir,
was- it was-
sir,
it was like a
Can I
little-
just interrupt? If you're gonna talk directly to the applicant, we're gonna need to
Well,
get you as a party protesta.
Okay.
I just want to hear what
At
you're.
this
All right,
point, it's no more
the
public
property, it was built, it was originally like a crafty kind of store, boutique kind of thing. I don't think I saw 50 cars in there the whole time that existed. And then it went to the bike shop, which again, it was, there was never a whole lot of business. And so as far as impact and whatnot, to have a family in there, that's great. I'm totally for that. My issue is, as Mr. San Francisco says, there are taxpayers behind there in the, that strip where Casey's is. And several years ago, there was an attempt to create a commercial residential area, to create a whole new zoning category, which is kind of exactly what's happening here, that, the dentist office is commercial for all intents and purposes, and then there's going to be a residence attached to it. And my issue is that I was against the CR zoning change in the beginning, when it came around the first time. And that's why I'd asked about precedents.
Okay, just
That,
concerned that. this is gonna set a
if you guys
standard.
say, okay, well, it's okay to do it to this one. And then what happens when, Robinson Builders decides that they want to do it? And what happens to the next place and the next place? Because they're all going to turn towards this property and say, well, you let him do it. Why aren't you letting me do it?
You mean put a residence in there also with a business?
Residents with a business, or knock down what's existing and, put a whole new structure up.
But again, none of the decisions we make, at least, there's no legal precedent
Well-
set there, which is fine. But that's what I wanted to find out from you, what your worry was, and it's what.
Yeah,
could
that's
potentially
what
come
my
down the
worry
road.
was, because,
Okay.
the residents on the other side of the neighborhood, and, there's a ton of apartments down there. There's the Dowden home that's down there. There's a lot of housing in here, but it was going to affect everything from that property all the way down into the circle, around by the church. It was going to be a huge impact on the neighborhood. And the Rhoads Avenue bypass right now is bad as it is. And, such to the fact that you have now all this traffic coming in St. Albans Circle, which that's going to be interesting to see how long those little ballards stay up, but.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing, but
that's, that's my personal thing is I'm trying to keep the neighborhood as a neighborhood.
Understood, and thank you. Appreciate it.
I
Just wanted.
I do share that some of your concern with like building precedent, and if we zone this or approve the request to turn it into an apartment building, can we stipulate that it remains single family use or because I think, I don't want to put words in your neighbor's mouth or your mouth, but what's to stop the applicant from dropping it and putting up multifamily housing as apartments?
Could we limit it to the structure as
Well, there's,
presented, right?
here, Mr. Oslander may be able to speak more directly on precedent, but it's my understanding that the application speaks for itself, and never zoning doesn't, your decision on one particular application never sets precedent for another.
If you want to condition this on it remaining single family, we'd be fine with that condition.
I mean, we limit it to
the C1 district allows for special exception for this particular application. And any other application would stand on its own merits depending on what it is. But because it's a special exception, really it's a misnomer because it's neither special or an exception. It's essentially a permitted use if it fulfills the criteria in the ordinance with regard to how it intertwines with the neighborhood itself and the harmony that it has. So that's what you're making a decision on. But another application comes for a different type of residential conversion. This is not going to be precedent setting because it will have its own application. You'll rule independently.
And if you were to approve it, it would only apply as presented, correct? In other words, you couldn't, a special exception would not just now apply to this address and property to which they could then rebuild They're presenting it this very
You
specific
know,
way.
if somebody
to
comes in
dental
with
office
it,
and this
with, to
apartment,
make
right?
it 2 apartments,
Now they want.
they would have
tear
to
it
come
down,
in
still have
before
one
you
dental
again.
office And one apartment, but it's a whole nother.
Yes, be another,
structure.
in
That
my
would be
opinion, be
acceptable.
another application.
And one more comment. The parking that's there is maxed out. I'm sure if you were to put another family or raise the roof, it wouldn't be allowed. And it would exceed the parking requirements. So it's, we're staying well within those guidelines.
Could we still bring our bikes to this apartment to be fixed?
My son wants to, yeah, it's probably we're missing here now. We couldn't, there are no bikes to be bought anyway. So my daughter used to work for Trek, and we supplied Jameis bikes. And there's not there are no new bikes till well into 2022.
Mike, do you want to move your exhibits into?
Yeah, we'd like to move for the admission of A1 through 8.
Submitted.
Can I ask, even from Andy, your perspective, any concerns? I always like to turn to you from a.
Well, I think, not from a zoning perspective, I would just maybe suggest that if you're considering an approval, that you condition upon filing the appropriate building permit applications and maintaining consistency with those code requirements.
Who would use the garage? I don't know if you said it already.
Sorry,
Who would use the garage?
I use the garage just for storage right now.
Not like a separate rental, so it's the
No, no,
office,
no,
the
no.
house, the garage. Okay. Any additional questions here from the board or concerns?
I have no concerns or questions.
Any
I'll make a
motions?
motion to approve application Z 2021-36. Provided they, it goes without saying, but provided they stick to the testimony and the application as provided.
Permits required, right? Just want that on the record as well. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay.